Thanksgiving is rapidly approaching. How do I know? Well, the calendar. And I finally got my Thanksgiving issue of Bon Appetit. I've been waiting all year for this. It's the one I look forward to the most. They just have so many delicious things in here. I was flipping through this little magazine and I saw something that stopped me dead in my tracks. And that is these stuffing biscuits. Look at these things, like, ugh. So I'm gonna try to make some today. We shall see. Biscuits are not my forte, but I can hopefully follow directions. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping this will kind of bring me joy. I think we can get started. My oven is preheating to 425 Fahrenheit, and let's go. Starting off with my dry ingredients. In a large bowl here, I just have some all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add some freshly ground pepper and kosher salt here, baking soda and baking powder, white sugar. Gonna mix this to incorporate everything. Add for some cold butter. I will link the recipe. It should be up online if the issue is out, but if it's not, I will write all the measurements down in the description, but if it is, I will make sure to link it down below. With a pastry cutter or your hands, just really get in there and start to cut up your pieces of cold butter. It has to be cold. Don't put warm butter in here. And we're just looking for smaller pieces of butter, little pea-sized to some little bit larger, flatter pieces. Like, that's a good one right there. But this is too big, you know? You want that sweet spot. I've got some flatter, big pieces and some tiny pieces. Perfect. To this, I'm gonna add my herbs. So I've got some scallions that I've chopped up real finely, some sage that I've also chopped up, and some rosemary that I've chopped up. I was a big dummy and I don't have the correct measurements for these herbs, so I'm hoping that all will be good, but I think the flavor will come through, so I think we'll be fine. But if you're a smart lady or man, make sure you write down the right measurements, because I did not. Ooh, this smells delicious. So we've got all of our dry ready to go. This recipe also calls for fennel, but I am not the biggest fennel fan, so I'm gonna leave it out. But if you want to throw that in here, you do what you gotta do. Next comes our buttermilk, cold buttermilk. I'm gonna stir this around with a fork until it becomes shaggy. Then I'm gonna dump it out onto my work surface and kind of throw it together. Gonna lightly flour, dump them out. And I'm gonna knead this for a second so it comes together. Now that I've got it together, I just want to get it into a rough rectangle. I think it says like a 10 by 8. I'm going to cut it in half. And put one half on top of the other. We are creating layers now, which is all about the biscuit. I'm gonna turn so that the long way is, oh, oven's ready. So the long way is towards me, and I'm gonna cut it again in half and again stack. We're building our layers here. You can see them all. You can see all the herbs in there. Oh, this smells amazing. And you can see where all the butter is in there, and it's just gonna be so good. Now that we've got all of our layers, I'm going to get this into another rectangle about 10 by 8. Just be careful that stays together. These biscuits are kind of crumbly sometimes, but that's what makes them so good. Of course, you can use a cutter if you want to. I just don't want to waste any dough, so I'm just gonna cut them, and they're gonna look, you know, rustic, homemade. Some of these are a little bigger. It's all good. I couldn't get a very accurate rectangle, but whatever, it's fine. But look at all these layers. That's gonna be a good biscuit. One last step before I throw them into the oven. I'm gonna put them on a baking sheet. I'm gonna throw them into the freezer for a few minutes, just to kind of get that butter back a little colder. Into the freezer for like 10 minutes. Before I put them in the oven, I'm gonna just brush them lightly with some of my leftover buttermilk. And you know, I've gotta hit them with a little flaky sea salts. I'm gonna stick these into my preheated oven for about 20-25 minutes. I'm gonna rotate the pan halfway, so let us pray. 24 minutes later, look at these biscuits. They're so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Where's the picture? I have to compare. I think I'm looking pretty good. There's what my inspiration is, and there are the biscuits. These are so beautiful. Look at the layers on that. What? Look at that. They smell unbelievable. They look even better. I am so proud of myself. I made these gosh darn biscuits. Look at the layers. Oh my gosh, I need to eat one, like now. Oh, I'm so excited. But look at the layers in this thing. Pop her open. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna try it first without butter. I'm definitely a butter on my biscuit kind of girl. But that flavor is very delicious. You can taste all the herbs. I think that if I had the correct measurements, you would obviously be able to get like punched in the face by them, but they're really good. They're so tasty. All of those layers. I need butter. I taste the rosemary the most. It is so good. Get some butter on here. Ooh, yes. If you bring these to Thanksgiving, like, game over. It's really kind of a fun twist on biscuits. I don't think they taste like stuffing, you know, like out of a box or even homemade stuffing. I think the flavors really kind of remind you of stuffing, but I don't think it tastes exactly like stuffing, but that's not a bad thing. These taste so good. Ooh, you can make like a turkey sandwich, like a leftover sandwich with these things, but you have to make these. They're really delicious. Everyone will be impressed, and they're so pretty. Enjoy.